besties, welcome back to my channel. If you guys are seeing my face for the first time, hi, my name is Maya and I like to talk about books here on the internet. Today, I had some free time, so we're doing some filming, and I just needed to get this freaking video done because, as you guys already know what this video is by the thumbnail and title, today's video is going to be my first ever book haul for the year 2026. And right at the top, let me just say this. Most of these books were bought in December and January. That's number one. Number two, I shamefully have been sitting on footage of me literally going through every single book. So I'm going to show you guys that footage, but then there was some other books that were bought in February, but they were free with in-store credit, and so I wanted to share with you guys what those books were. And then as far as audiobooks are concerned, because all of these are physical, I have no idea. So here are all of the books that I got in December and January and all of that footage. Wicked by Gregory Maguire. This is a special edition. This was gifted to me. I got me the Tarot Cafe Volume 3, the special edition by Sang-Soon Park. You guys already know, I fell in love with Volume 1, and I then proceeded to fall in love with Volume 2, and then I just really needed to get my hands on Volume 3. So I already had Volume 3 by the time I started reading Volume 2, and that was a book on the TBR for January. This was on the TBR for February. I am in a chokehold with this series, and I just love it so much, and I have literally already started reading it. Now to the bags. Plural, yes. Let's start with Barnes & Noble. First up, we have Dante's Inferno, and this is the illustrated edition, and you guys, I've, spoiler alert, already started reading some of these books because I have been meaning to make this haul video for such a long time. I actually had all of these books prior to February's TBR and even January's wrap-up, to be honest. Like, I had these before mid-January for sure. I also got another poetry collection by the one, the only, the infamous Robert Frost himself, and this was actually a collection of his earlier works. So it actually encompassed two early full selections as they were printed out. Like, there were two full collections, and then there was a particular part that was literally entitled his earliest poems. And so it was just a conglomeration of different poems, probably taken from different places that he wrote. And it was just very interesting. I created a reading vlog of this actually on my TikTok, and I just had an interesting time with this poetry because I am learning some things about myself when it comes to being a reader of poetry that just makes sense. And it was interesting to find out that particular element in me, and then to realize that this was also poetry, and then to start reading it and having it be a type of poetry that I am not accustomed to, really. And that's mostly because I don't really get into poetry like that. ABAB rhyme scheme is pretty much the type of poetry I go for, and some Shakespearean sonnets. Like, I do like writing those. Those are pretty fun. But more freestyle, I'm just not as familiar with, and therefore it's more interesting to discover how I read certain pieces of poetry, but both are just very fascinating. So it's been quite the experience, not gonna lie. So those were very fun to dive into. One I have not dived into yet was Christmas Dessert Murder by Joanne Fluke, and I have read one of her books before, and within said book there were recipes, and so I wanted to make one of the recipes, and so I read the book, made one of the recipes, and it was literally if you're diabetic, you should really stay away from some of these recipes. I'm gonna be 100% honest, but it was so delicious and so good, so entirely worth it. And the stories and the plots and the characters. It's just such a good time. It's one of those feel-good murder mysteries, and you're probably thinking, well, how can a murder mystery be a feel-good? I don't know. Cozy murder mysteries, man. What can you do? It is a type of genre. I don't know, but here we are, and here is one of the authors that actually got me into cozy murder mystery. So, yet another Christmas-themed read, Murder at Holly House by Denzel Merrick, and I don't know. Cozy murder mystery. Well, I don't know if this is cozy, but murder mysteries at Christmas time is just kind of the vibes. I even started off last year, 2025, with a Christmas Cocoa murder. So, yeah, I don't know what that is about me, but I think I redeemed myself in that I started this year off with A Christmas Carol. So, we have another bag. This tote actually came, oh, hello, hi, Dwecky. He got excited for the books, I guess. So you can stay on my shoulder here, kind of, sort of collarbone. Can we do that? Okay, sure. Ah! You know what? Your rightful place with Minsung. That's neither here nor there. No. The Tattered Cover bookstore is where I went to, and this was in literally downtown Colorado. Guys, there was a bookstore inside of the train station, and I was in heaven. So I spent a couple of hours with my uncle in Colorado, and like we just had a day. We went to a museum of a sort of creative thing. I don't really know how to describe it, but the Illusion Museum. And then we went to this bookstore and we went to lunch. Like, it was just a vibe. It was just an all-around vibe. So within this bookstore, I bought the tote, and then I bought a couple of books. More than a couple, actually. Let me be so for real. The Lord of the Flies, a graphic novel by Amy DeJong. The other thing that I saw was The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. If you guys don't know, I have not read The Lord of the Rings. I have tried so many times, but bless her heart, 5th grade me, who was so about the books. I read like 4 books at a time, could tell you the entire synopsis with all of the characters and the plot without any hesitation, any misstep, any misquotation of what actually happened. Where that girl went, I don't know. I did things to her. Listen, life did things to her, and now she's me, and me doesn't know how to articulate anything worth a damn. But I tried to read The Lord of the Rings. That's what I'm getting to. I tried to read that, could not read that. I tried The Hobbit, and I was actually able to read it and then reread it, and I also watched all of the movies, and I gotta say, in this particular instance, I love the movies over the book because they did something to a main character that made it just that much more likable. Actually, so many of the main characters, if I'm being so very honest, they made those characters have a little bit more substance, and I understand where Tolkien was coming from and how he wrote them, but I liked the modernized version, I guess, of it because it gave more life and depth to characters that are genuinely very lovable with that new take, you know? So anyways, yeah, I had a great time. So I wanted to get this because it's a graphic novel. It's a graphic novel. And like, how are they gonna do that? Because look at that tiny bit of real estate. And then I thought I had it. And then look at this real estate. Like, what's it gonna do? What's it actually gonna do? Like, I am so intrigued. If you don't know, you're gonna know that I am so about the different mediums and like trying to rework, translate, adapt different things like from the originals. And that is something that I genuinely love. So I'm just very intrigued to see what all is going to go down there. Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle, and I heard that there were so many conversations in this book, and it was kind of under the guise of one particular type of element in Hollywood. Can you guess which one? And for me, this is going to be so interesting. It feels like there's been a kind of surgence, maybe, because I don't think this is a resurgence. I think the idea behind it is a resurgence, because I feel like in every single era, generation, since the dawn of media and Hollywood, we've always been fascinated by the elite and by the celebrity and by the behind the scenes of everything that goes down by that life. And, you know, it's playing out on screen for us so that we can kind of feel like we're included in that. So it's a resurgence of that idea, but I think a surgence of like stories in all different types of media that are really just like going in on Hollywood and the celebrity scene, and just really just kind of like poking at it and being like, yeah, I'm gonna poke at you, I'm gonna make you feel uncomfortable, we're gonna talk about all of the things, we are gonna press all of the buttons, and even if that button do indeed explode, it don't matter, because at least like we need to know, we need to see what is behind all of this. And so we're gonna keep poking until you're uncomfortable enough to like reveal the truth of the matter and all the things. Anyway, so I feel like this, alongside of other types of media and literature, are kind of poking at the bear of celebrity and just kind of being like, hey, what's this? And I kind of like that, because I kind of like to have those discussions. I don't normally entertain certain things on this channel, okay, because this ain't about that. This is the safe, happy place where we talk about books. But occasionally we do get into the thick of the weeds, because a book talks about it, or because it is something that, you know, is important to a take on a book that I may have, so that you guys know kind of where I stand with my reading, with my thought process on certain things, so that you can know, hey, when she says this thing about this, I know this about her, so I can determine for myself and my likes and my dislikes if I agree with that and don't want to take that recommendation, or do take that recommendation, or vice versa. Like, if I don't like it, then I won't do that, or I will do that if she don't like, you know. So there are some things that we talk about, because I don't mind talking about the things. Okay, it's not about not talking about the things or having some sort of suppressed whatever, and it's all hunky-dory over here. And like, it is hunky-dory over here, okay? We enjoy a good hunky-dory time over here. But we're not afraid to touch the real of life when that comes about, because we can't always delude ourselves into thinking that life won't touch these aspects of our happy places. And when they come, if we can have a good, calm, healthy approach to it, then boy howdy, it's not going to be anything to be pressed about. Anyway, I say all of that to say there are certain things that I just don't entertain on here, because it doesn't freaking matter to the world of books or literature or what it is that I am reviewing on. Okay, so I am into certain spaces, and I'm not too deep into it anymore. I used to be, and then it got a little bad because I was an escapist, okay? And I use that to escape life a lot, and then that just like really is not a good thing and a good combo, okay? For the most part, when you're dealing with a lot of different mental, physical, emotional things, sometimes you just don't go into certain spaces, and that's just what it needs to be for your own safety. But anyways, I digress. What I'm trying to get to is I am in a lot of communities and in a lot of spaces online, okay? And that's what my other channel is for. But I'm in a lot of other different communities, a lot of other different spaces, as I'm sure you all are, because we all have diverse niche interests. And so we go to our peoples in our community. We always come back here because it's a great, amazing time. But we also spread out. You know, we make friends, okay? We may be introverted sometimes, but we make our friends. And those of you that are extroverts, bless you. Bless you. May you never lose that. All right. So there are certain things that I have always been intrigued by, and my biggest thing as I go into different communities, I come across a lot of diverse opinions. Some I agree with, some I don't. And I don't agree with everyone 100%. No one ever does. And that's okay. But what I come at viewing different content and different conversations with is the idea that, you know what? These conversations need to be had. We need to talk about that. We need to open the discussion. We need to have different various viewpoints. And I'm all about the discussion and seeing all of the different viewpoints, hearing people's ideology and the reasons why. And my favorite thing is when a person, regardless of whether I agree with them or not, can articulate their point. Okay, it may not always be the speediest answer, but they'll get there eventually. You just got to hear them out. So I love being able to hear people out. I love hearing the train of thought. I love hearing the ideologies. I love hearing them in real time be like, you know, this is something that I thought of for a little minute. Here's the statement. Here's why. And, you know, I'm open to the discussion. So, you know, the invitation is out there because you put it up online, basically. I love those things. I think those are very important. And what I love most in literature, see, I got back there. What I love most in literature and in films that really kind of press certain buttons is we get those conversations, regardless of whether or not the author believes the thing or not. There had to have been some thought on the subject for it to even be within the book or the media presentation. You get what I'm saying? There is always a perception or a worldview in anything you go to. Literally, nothing is unbiased. There may be facts that are stated that are completely just like irrefutable because they're facts. They're truth. But when it's said out of a person's mouth, along with other stuff, there is bias there. Right? Right? I think we can all agree on that. And that's not a bad thing. Okay, that's actually a great thing. Why? Because we're getting people's perspectives. We're getting people's worldviews. We're getting people's opinions. We're getting a chance at discussion. I love getting a chance at discussion. It's so beautiful to me because no one thinks exactly the same. Isn't that so beautiful? Isn't that just like amazing? We can all have a common agreement, but the way that we get to said agreement, the track that we go on, oh my, there's always a little divot or something in the track that is completely different to other people. It's what makes us unique. It's what makes us one of a kind. We are all one of a kind. I think that's why people can't stand fakeness. I understand why some people may try to conform in the false sense that it is unifying. It's not. I just got off track there for a second. It's so beautiful to see different perspectives, different worldviews, different ways of life, and how people view that. And so I think this is going to be a great, amazing time. I know I went off on such tangents on this, but I think it's very poignant to keep all of everything that I feel is essential of what I just expressed right here in, because that's kind of just who I am as a person, as a reader. And so now you get a little bit more insight into the reader in me, into the types of literature that I really just like, I love. It's kind of like a guilty pleasure though, because I don't always often get into that mode. Now, if I get into that mode, you know, the author did something with the substance factor. I foresee this being a just straight read through. And whatever happens is going to happen with my thought process on this. That's what I predict. Guys. Alchemize by sending you. So, you guys, when I tell you this book was everywhere since its debut, because it debuted in 2025, I do believe, right? That was the Goodreads category. 2025. What do you know? I saw this edition and mind. Beautiful. I saw this and I was like, it's Christmas. I'm treating myself. This is on my February TBR. But also, you guys, I'm still so like, you guys don't even know how long I've been sitting on that footage and how deep in the archives I had to freaking go to even make sure I still had it. And I was so grateful that I exported that footage onto my channel, because I have like been filming for my regular TikTok, or my lifestyle TikTok as it were, and then I've been getting back into book talk again and been doing other forms of social media. So like I have been going through cycles of stuff on my phone. I am so grateful I exported that. Anyways, that's beside the point. So I got 2 books in February, and okay, this is really weird because I don't know which one of these was one of the books. So I got 2 books. Okay, I got 2. One was a blind date with a book to try to fulfill a TBR game prompt, and then it was to fulfill a reading vlog concept, none of which happened because they're all still wrapped. But here's the thing, I don't remember which one I bought because they were all bought at the same place. I think it was this one. The genre is sci-fi, and the pickup line is, I would have lived in peace, but my enemies brought me war. The other book that I thought I brought along with me, but I'm not seeing it, for the initial moving of the books, like we have so many more books, guys. We have an entire bookshelf, and then we have piles of books on top of that. We have the TBR cart. Like, we got a lot of books to bring back in, but I thought I brought the book. Whatever. The Thursday Murder Club, and what I am getting from that book is honestly and truly Golden Girl meets murder mystery vibes. Like, these older folks are in an old person's home, basically, and they meet up every single Thursday to discuss cold cases. And then suddenly a true crime event occurs, and because they are so ingrained in solving cold cases, they decide that they also want to ask questions and talk about this event that occurred, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the event that occurred, the very bad event that, you know, kind of unalived someone, happened right near their place. So now they're thinking, we got this. We can be the detectives, because something doesn't add up. Will that now make them the next target? I don't know. We must read. So those are officially all of the physical books that I got from December to February, and then ever since then, I have literally not gotten any other book. Yes, with that being said, that is all of the books that are hauled for this video. That means the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for taking the time out of your day to do so. I will be leaving all of the links to my socials in the description box down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, thank you guys so much for being the absolute best a bookish bestie that ever was, is, or ever will be. I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Bye!